Welcome back to Sonic Unleashed, and this time we're going to start by doing the extra missions for the first day stage, or rather the second day stage. As I believe I already said, you earn collectibles in this game through challenges. And the first few challenges are pretty simple. This one is as easy as they come. We just have to collect 100 rings, and unless we really goof up, this should be no problem. Something I feel I should mention about action chains is that the homing attack actually depends on you pressing X as quickly as possible. They make it seem like it's something like a rhythm game, the action chains, where you have to wait until just the right time to continue your homing attack. But that's not true. You just press X immediately, and if you wait for it, then you're liable to miss your chance. So if you want to chain together a bunch of enemies using your homing attack, then you just smash that X button. It actually doesn't matter if we fail this QuickTime event, because if we smash into this spring at the very end of the track, we'll get shot into a whole bunch of rings.
Piece of cake. Still no luck finding anyone who knows me.
Don't worry about it. Maybe your memory will come back on its own. Remember anything yet?
Nope.
Oh well.
Sonic? Whoa! Mr. Monster Guy is back!
So when the sun goes down, I turn into this?
Are you okay, Sonic?
I'm fine. I just need to be careful who sees me like this.
Sonic! Sonic, look!
What is it?
Oh, it's hopeless! The whole planet is split apart! We're doomed! Oh.
Mister?
Oh.
Hey, mister! Hey, don't cry. Ice cream. How about some more of this super tasty stuff?
What good is ice cream at a time like this? Oh.
Sonic, your arm just stretched.
Weird. But it could be useful.
Oh.
Hey, welcome back to that visual novel segment, because we're going to be doing that quite a few more times before the game is over. I really doubt it adds anything to the game, but there are a couple of situations that are also in the 7th gen version that are kinda neat, but they're just less neat for this version because it's a visual novel segment instead of something where you actually walk around and talk to people. This time we're just literally getting everyone to react to Sonic. I do like how the UI is changed to reflect the darker colors and the music, a lot more relaxing, a lot more fitting for the lighting. I mean, I could do without these sections entirely, but they're kind of what holds the game's story together. Like, the story in the 6th gen version is already incredibly disjointed because of the placement of the cutscenes. Makes it feel like the story was more of an afterthought in this version, and they're like, oh yeah, we have to kind of have a semblance of story like the 7th gen version, so we're just gonna stuff this all in here. The 7th gen version, on the other hand, you can tell that the story was one of the main focuses because the placement of the cutscenes is much better and you don't talk to everyone with visual novel segments. That doesn't mean the story in either version is particularly good, especially in comparison with previous games, which had a lot going for them story-wise, believe it or not. Right now we're talking to Eric because Eric saw Tails, and Tails wanted to give us something, but for some reason he didn't think to try and find us himself. He just handed this to a random villager. That seems a little bit awkward to me. I'm not sure why he wouldn't just find Sonic directly, but Tails' character has always been kinda up and down throughout all the games. Anyway, we got the first moon tablet, which means we can now do moon stuff. Which means the werehog stages that nobody really likes.
Huh? Hey, you're back to Night Sky Sonic again. This light's so warm. It kind of feels like the afternoon sun. Do you think your transforming's got something to do with the sun, Sonic? I don't know. That door's glowing, Sonic. Maybe that means it'll open now. Let's go see. Hey, you're looking all scary again. Don't you get tired of switching all the time?
Welcome to the werehog segments. Ignoring that the name werehog makes no sense, these are mostly beat-em-up focused. And they have really cool music with a lot of horns. That's a stark contrast to the music during the day stages, and I like that. But we're going to be hearing this music all the time because it's the only battle music. Throwing boxes at these enemies will kill them in one hit, which is a lot quicker than our combo. But sometimes we miss with those boxes even though they tend to auto-aim. Now these sections are something about the 6th gen version that I think could have been done a lot better. In the 7th gen version, the werehog segments are good enough that they could be their own game. A very average game, but a very average pretty looking game with fun combos and mechanics, and, you know, it's just its own thing. You don't feel like you're being cheated. Or at least I didn't feel that way. With these enemies, it's best just to throw them into each other because they can be rather hard to hit with your normal combos. Not impossible, but it's a little more difficult, especially when they start flying over your head. So just like with the daytime stages, I want to try to get S ranks, and in order to do that, we have a different objective. We do have to finish the stage as quickly as possible, but unlike the daytime stages, that's not our only goal. We also have to collect a whole ton of force, which are these little blue and red orbs that pop out of stuff. And we have to collect a certain number of coins, too. I'm sorry, I meant rings, not coins, but I'm sure you got what I meant.
What's this, Sonic?
So, in the werehog stages, there are occasionally secondary objectives, like finding all 3 locks to open a door, or just general platforming. There isn't much to the platforming or the other distractions in the night stages, but there's also not much to the combat in the night stages, unlike the 7th gen version. We're gonna run to the back and try and grab those boxes to take out these two enemies. Like I said, they tend to lock on, but the lock-on can get a bit finicky. If you ever notice a pop-up saying that we got an item of some sort, I want you to know that that's not important. Literally the opposite of important. It's always stuff like concept art or music. And concept art can be nice sometimes, but I can look up both of those things on the internet. I feel like I'm doing this game enough of a favor by trying to S rank it. I don't need to get all the collectibles. As I was saying, nothing about the night stages feels terribly complex or well fleshed out. There's nothing wrong with them, but it's incredibly basic design, perhaps the most basic design possible. We're talking like bare minimum average here, and even though you use Sonic's stretchy arms for the platforming, that doesn't amount to anything even mildly interesting. By comparison, the platforming stages in One Piece Pirate Warriors, those are far more interesting, and they're not even that spectacular. So the entire night section of the game, all of the night stages, just feel like a mini-game. Sometimes I pretend I'm playing a PlayStation Portable game, and that makes it a lot more forgivable, how incredibly barren and average these sections are. But even then, I'm like, this wouldn't make a full PlayStation Portable game. Even on the PSP, this would still be something of a mini-game. I want to give it credit for trying to keep you sufficiently distracted and entertained by the multiple game mechanics, but if they would have just spent more time focusing on fleshing out one of them, then it would be a lot better. You know, something a little weird about this game in general is that you walk into a temple and you come out back into the town. Like, the priest even said that we couldn't go that deep into the temple. But when we do go deeper into the temple, we just come back out into the main town. And I like the town, it's atmospheric, I dig places that are all lit up at night like this. But it makes the whole thing seem really disconnected, like, I might as well have not even gone to the temple. And the priest said that reports of ghosts were not confirmed. But all these lights are on, like, presumably everyone is either awake or really afraid of the dark. So if they would just look outside, toward all of this noise, they would see me fighting a horde of ghosts right now. The glow around this door is really cool. I like that. I mean, they didn't even have to bother to put this little glow around the door in, but they did, and it looks neat and it adds to the atmosphere. And I wish the game mechanics were as pretty as the atmosphere. Anyway, we're finally at the end of the first of 3 nighttime stages for this video. Yeah, there's a lot of these.
How do you like that, huh?
Welcome to the second night stage. This one has a lot more platforming in it, which gives me a chance to talk about the platforming. But disappointingly enough, there isn't a whole lot to talk about. There are a few more uninteresting battles before we actually get to the platforming, but I'll do you a favor and skip to the platforming. So welcome to the platforming, and all of the platforming in the game is done with the R1 button. Well, in the werehog sections of the game, rather. Now, I used to think that you were supposed to press the R1 button as soon as the targets appeared, to grab them with precision. But you can actually hold down the R1 button the entire time, and Sonic will automatically latch on to everything. And I do seriously mean you never have to let go of the R1 button. In fact, it's the best way to play the game. If you try to use more precision and only tap the R1 button when the icon appears or when a target appears, then you'll probably end up falling a whole lot, which makes me think they intended you to hold the R1 button the whole time. But this makes the platforming feel incredibly automatic and unsatisfying. You never really have to try or anything. I mean, it's a nice distraction from just hitting enemies, I guess, but when all of the pieces of the gameplay are so simple, it makes it really hard to get invested. And the majority of what you're going to be worrying about in these stages anyway is getting enough rings and enough force in order to get the S rank. The combat and platforming have so little to do with the overall outcome of a level, it just really feels like it's wasting your time. I mean, it is in your best interest to finish the combat and platforming as quickly as possible, so that way you can get an S rank on time. But that's only 1/3 of the things you need. So if you were, like, say, really lazy, you would only need to collect enough force and rings, and you wouldn't have to worry about the time limit at all. Or not time limit, but rather the time. And if you took that route through the stages, well, it would make the platforming and combat seem kind of pointless, wouldn't it? Just seem like a big collectathon. Because the only reason you're here is to collect more medals to play further stages. And if you just think the night stages are fun, that's perfectly okay, but you still want to get something out of them, you know? Because if you don't, you're just going to have to come back and replay it. After some more incredibly minor platforming, we pull this switch and head into the last part of the level, or very near the last part anyway. It's a little unfortunate that there isn't much interesting to say about this level, but that's just how it goes. So there are a couple of boxes lying around at the edge of this arena that we could use to fight with. But I wanted to wait till the second wave where enemies will appear that we would actually be better off to use the boxes on. The problem is that when they eventually do appear, right here, you see these little bee-looking guys. I goof up with the boxes, and I'm not sure whether it was my fault or the game's fault, but I tried to throw the boxes at him. I even faced the right direction, but Sonic just throws the boxes into the wall and they explode. So instead of killing them really quickly in just a couple of hits, we're going to have to chase them around and painstakingly smack them the normal way, which takes forever. We also can't grab and throw these ones, unlike the other flying enemies we saw earlier. We can't just knock these guys into each other. Of course, this will get a lot easier when we get a new combo, but for now we only have the 3 hits. With that out of the way though, there's just a bit more platforming before the end of the level, and like I said, this is the second of 3, because there are a lot of nighttime levels in this video game. We might not make it to the goal in time if we were careful and we actually climbed on these things the way the game wanted us to. But instead of that, we're going to take advantage of the game's incredibly lax hit detection and just leap across all of it.
How do you like that, huh?
So every nighttime stage has a couple of things that are memorable about them, or at least something that you can look to this stage and go, yeah, I remember this one specifically because of this attribute. And the thing that this nighttime stage has going for it is it has a whole bunch of ruins. And the majority of this stage is going to be going into those ruins by busting them open and collecting a whole lot of collectibles. We're also going to be doing a lot of smacking bad guys around as with the other 2 night stages this far, but it's made a lot easier by our new combo. Our new combo is seriously just now we hit the enemy 5 times instead of 3 when we press the square button or circle button. The square button is for your left arm, the circle button is for your right arm. As far as I can tell, there is no notable difference. You can do slightly different combos by mixing them up, but just doing the full 5-hit combo by tapping square 5 times gets the job done perfectly fine. And the outcome of the level is really not decided by how fancy your combos are or how many hits you get, so there's no reason to mix it up if you're just already using the most efficient method.
Think you could break this wall with a punch, Sonic?
I mean, I would have tried that anyway, Chip, but, you know, why not? So the nighttime stages have pretty excessive invisible barriers, like we can't jump over the wall here, even though it would make the level go much faster, and there's a collectible behind that wall. We have to run around to get it. And it just seems so useless. Why would you even put that invisible barrier there? If you're worried about people breaking the game by jumping out of the map or something, or you're just afraid you programmed it so badly that that they might clip through the scenery or something, I don't think anybody would care. I mean, I assume that's why the invisible barriers are there, out of concern that the game would break if they weren't there, but I really don't think anybody would care. Like, let's go over the pros and cons of removing the invisible barrier here. I mean, if the game didn't break, then my enjoyment would be increased because it would make the stage go by faster and I would feel less restricted. And if the game did break, then my enjoyment would be increased because I got to see the game break. Anyway, yeah, this is pretty much all of the level, is busting into these ruins and grabbing various collectibles, and you do want the collectibles for reasons that were previously stated. So there's nothing too interesting about this stage aside from the ruins themselves, but you just do more of the same stuff, so it's mostly just an aesthetic difference. But there is one minor gameplay difference in this level, so we're going to go ahead and skip to that. So now we're met with our first big enemy, and the only difference I can tell is that he takes more hits. So we're just going to turn on our Unleashed mode, which makes all our attacks deal more damage. We do this by pressing L1 and R1 at the same time. It's basically the generic rage mode that you would see in any other beat-em-up. The reason I didn't use it until now is for the sake of having something interesting to show off this stage, but we refill the Unleashed meter by picking up those blue Force orbs that are lying around. And you might think there's more to the stage after that, given this walkway, but after we break all these flower pots, we're actually just led straight to the goal. If it were me, I might have put the goal right after the fight instead of making people walk up this walkway, because that seems like a good way to piss someone off if they don't make the time limit.
How do you like that, huh? Hey, Tails.
Sonic?
What are you doing out here?
Sonic, is that really you? That's a new look. What happened?
You know me. Never a dull moment.
Want some chocolate?
Thanks. That's some story. I'll bet that means that you turning into that and the planet breaking apart are somehow related.
I need to find Eggman and make him fix this, and fast!
About that, I think I know someone who might know something about what's going on here.
Oh, really?
Professor Pickle over at Spagonia University. I came to this city to gather some data. If we add that to his research findings, we might be able to get to the bottom of all this.
Spagonia? That's a continent over. An easy jog if the planet weren't broken.
No problem. My Tornado 1 will get us there in a flash. Let's get going.
Leave it to you, Tails. Let's get moving.